Welcome once again to RPG Overviews. I'm Brandon, and I'm going to tell you about Badass Bunnies. This is a cool zine for Mutant Crawl Classics RPG. You can find it on Drive-Thru RPG. I will have a link down in the description and a pinned comment. So let's take a look at it. This comes from Tim Satley, who gave us Get Me the Juice, also for Mutant Crawl Classics. Cool cover here. We're going to look at the back. Badass Bunnies. What is in this zine? So, really quick, what we've got is a way for you to play Tibars, which are a type of mutant rabbit in the Mutant Crawl Classics game. And it's going to let you play as a character, make up 5 different types of them. It says 5 distinct classes of Tibars. Personality traits and Saw stats to assist with role-playing each racial occupation, specialized gear designed for these mutant rabbits, recommendations on how to run a Tibar-themed campaign, and then finally, a brand new Tibar adventure, We Are Tibar, the Thundering Herd. So let's take a look through it. Obviously, the adventure I will be going through, so if you might pick this up, you might want to stop right before I uh, start talking about the adventure if you don't want it spoiled for you, if you're going to play it. So there's some funny things all throughout it, with obviously some rabbit references all throughout it. So take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes from Morpheus. And it's going to let you know, of course, who helped work on it. And this is really cool. It's a fun, it doesn't take itself very seriously. Ways so that you can play Tibars in your Mutant Crawl Classics games. It breaks down who they are, so there's a lot of Bugs Bunny quotes, giving you their normal stats with, of course, their life force, drain, and their energy sap abilities, which you will have should you play one of them. And so here's the energy sap ability that they have, and then how to play Tibar. With their Fluffle, pretty much their family first, with them being all very highly social species, their fighting tactics, their luck, how they're good at digging, and what their weaknesses are, and of course, how to make one of the characters. So you're going to have your starting level, your occupation, hit points, armor class, all that stuff. They've got a thing called a spook dice, which is actually very cool. Pretty much, when you roll it at the beginning of each encounter, their overall initiative is the sum of the action die and the spook die. So they get pretty much a d6 bonus to their initiative. And so it says if you roll a 1 on either die, then Tibar has been spooked and is unable to overcome their primal urge to bound away. So they, in essence, run away, and then they can kind of come back, much the way that a rabbit would do. So they would, in essence, for 2 rounds, 1 round they would flee 40 feet, and 1 round they would spend to just observe because they want to see what's going on. So it is kind of a negative that might happen to them, but it's still pretty cool. So ranged attacks against a spook Tibar are performed at -1 dice to the attacker. So that's pretty cool. Kind of help them get away a little bit. Talks about how they can move. They kind of move in short bursts, charging kind of 20 feet and then retreating 20 feet. It's a common battle practice for them, as their opponents receive no attack of opportunity, which is going to be very helpful. Some equipment and stat bonuses, their weapon training, their armor, what treasures they like to keep, which is, of course, very nice. They have no attraction to or use other conventional treasures. They're often easily spooked by shiny things, and so they're not so much into ancient artifacts. And of course, food is life, life energy is treasure. Therefore, food quantity and quality are a Tibar's measure of wealth. So then we've got the base stats for them, and this is pretty neat. I really like what he did here. So you've got their base stats. So strength 5, agility 16, stamina 12, personality 14 or 4, intelligence 4, luck 18, of course. So we look through these. They're not very strong. Super high agility, of course. Stamina is good. Personality. So they have a 14 personality whenever they're with their own colony and during an outsider's first contact. But after a while, they become slightly foul-tempered, as is their nature, as their personality is revealed, and then their true personality stat of 4, issues forth with them. They're not very smart, but they are very lucky, and they naturally they regenerate 2 luck per day of full rest. That's actually very good, but they lose 1 luck per foot should one be severed for any reason. Some people might want to be trying to get their lucky feet. So, and remember, mud spells backwards is dumb. And you've got some Tibbar occupations here. So you're going to roll this up. And so you might be a villager. It's not going to change your base stats, but it's going to give you some equipment. It's going to be kind of your normal Tibbar character. Or you can have a Mart's Hare. They've got a bonus to agility, +3 on reflex rolls, plus ranged attacks and on damage. So these are more agile. They're better at ranged weapons. And so this is how they kind of differentiate between these different types of classes. You've got the Scout. He gets a +1 die on all rolls related to searching, such as tracking, identifying traps, finding secret doors, and anything hidden. And then they also give this stride stick. So it's a D5 damage +1. They give you an additional +1 initiative. And it's kind of one of the things they use, obviously. Then you've got the Sapper. They have +4 stamina. They receive +2. This is a little bit confusing. Sappers receive +2 for 1 on all energy points sapped and can temporarily bank 8 extra hit points for a maximum of 5 rounds. So they're very stout with their stamina, and their ability lets them get 2 for 1 whenever they're sapping energy. Very cool if you want to have more of a tank type class that can hold a lot of hit points and then bank those hit points. And so they have a highly specialized use of their energy sap ability. Then you have the War Leader. They get +11 strength. So that's where you're going to get a really strong character here with strength, +2 initiative, melee attacks, and melee damage. They roll personality checks as at 18 against other Tibbars, 4 against all non-Tibbars. So they are the strongest fighters in the tribe and will never spook at the beginning of a fight. So these are going to be kind of like your elite leaders of your group. You've got some specialized equipment here, ammo belts, some of the Tibbar's throwing knives that they use. There's stone blades. They get +1 to hit and to damage. And they've got the stride stick. It tells you a little bit more about that. And then, of course, the lucky Tibbar foot. So it will help you possess good luck. Possibly it's a placebo effect. All that is known as for sure is that a Tibbar's will receive -1 luck per missing foot, and the possessor of said foot will gain +1 luck. Needless to say, these feet are only carried by non-Tibbar characters, as carrying the severed foot of your brethren would be considered heresy. And it's got some cool art throughout it, obviously. So it talks about how you advance your character should you want to have a full-length base campaign with your Tibbars. From their lucky roll, military maneuvers, it's going to be different things they're going to get as they get stronger. They're going to get +1 to all attacks when coordinating strikes on the same target as other ones. They're natural foragers. Their lucky roll, it says starting at level 2, all Tibbars may reroll 1 luck roll per day as a bonus. And then they've got What's Up Doc. It's a skill originally developed by an ancient Tibbar named Bugs. Starting at level 3, a Tibbar is able to confuse a single opponent using trickery and natural sarcasm. Obviously, some of the humor that's in here, usable only once per day, but it's very fun, and of course, keeping with the mood. So we are Tibbar, the Thundering Herd. Now I'm about to get into the adventure here. Now this is a very cool adventure. So what this is a lengthy background here telling you about the colony that you live in Terra AD. Generations ago, your tribal ancestors pretty much migrated through this area. They heard a strange noise. They went underneath this hill, and they found a bunch of long discarded and buried buildings of the ancients. There was a large main chamber surrounded by many smaller burrows, and so it was great for their families to come and live. And then the next morning, when they awoke and they were doing their chores and stuff, there were these 2 gods that appeared of the ancients, ghostly apparitions. They spoke in a foreign tongue, which stunned the Tibbars, and they now pretty much worship these ghostly apparitions, which are, of course, holograms. So it explains more about how they came up with their name. This is actually Marshall University, and these were 2 holograms that were to promote the school. They would originally say, "We are Marshall," and so they kind of took that as their own war cry, and they say, "We are Tibbar." So the group has got a couple of artifacts with them of the ancients, a solar recharger and a handful of sea sails, which they use pretty much as healing packs, as they can use the energy out of them to help heal themselves, the Tibbar ability that they have. So what this is, so you're like, okay, it's just an adventure with your Tibbar. You're playing a big rabbit. Well, really, you've got sentient beings are coming into your lair, your dungeon, that is where your family is, and they are attacking your family of Tibbar friends and allies, and they have stolen the artifact. So this is much the inverse of the heroes coming to the bad guys and stealing their stuff. So you're going to have various encounters as you travel through the different areas here, the community gardens, and you're going to kind of follow along the path of destruction that these mutants and plant people and all sorts of animals have wreaked havoc upon. And you're going to fight several of them as you're following where they've made all the damage. So it's going to give you the stats for the solar recharger and the sea sail. You're going to come across Thumper, who is the leader of your tribe, and he's going to pretty much say, you've got to find them, you've got to chase them down. They've stolen the solar recharger and the sea sails. You've got to go help us. If not, they're going to go back to wherever they come from, and they'll probably come with more of their type, and we'll have to move our home. So this is a pass or fail type thing, of succeed or fail. And you're going to go through different areas as you chase them and fight them, various ones. And so what you're going to come to here is the chase. And what this means is you're going to have various forks in the trail as you start to follow them. And if you are able to roll good on your search roll, you're going to get a +1. If you do badly, you're going to get a -1. And at the end, you will tally those up to decide whether or not you failed or succeeded. So you've got different areas, forks in the trail, different signs of where they've been. So after positive or negative rolls, you may see like broken brush is evident to the direction of which way they went, especially in these forks. The jungle sounds are oddly quiet to the direction that they might have gone. Multiple sets of footprints lead in both or either directions, maybe to throw you off, or they split up. Your nose picks up the smell of manimal in the direction of whichever way they went. So with the success, you may go down false trails. They'll have to make some choices, make these search rolls, but then a lot of these areas are going to be done also by time. If you spend too much time fighting the monsters, or I should say the monsters that you may come across, or these NPC invaders, it may give you a -1 to your final roll. You've got the grassy meadow. There are a couple creatures that they're going to attack you. These porcupines are terrible as they fly about and shoot all their porcupine needles into you. And so you're going to have that happening while in the middle of trying to chase these sentients down. There is a plant sentient that is just standing still, waiting for you to get close, and then it's going to spring its attack. There's another fork, and then win or lose the tracking time clock. You're going to come to the river, and that's where you're going to decide whether or not to have the big final battle against these turds, or they have already made it across the river and they have escaped with your solar recharger and the sea cells, and you have failed. And it tells you what happens here with failure. You're going to have to move your colony. It talks about dealing with death. Sometimes, if you have a Ttrpg that has died, one of the player characters, maybe another one shows up on the trail, and you can play that one as a Ttrpg villager. Or maybe instead of a killing blow, they are reduced to 0 hit points and they've lost a rabbit's foot. And so, and it talks, one thing here is about a TPK, which is pretty neat. So it usually isn't, of course, but it's an alternate ending in the case of a failure. So what you can then do is you can then play these NPC invaders as your group, as your player characters. So here's some cool hooks and ideas for continuing the campaign if it's a success or a failure. So I like those options. And I remember a lot of these also in Get Me the Juice, these kind of like what to do after. Here's some cool choices that may happen after the adventure has concluded. So I think these are very helpful. Do others come looking for the missing party of zeros? That's what they call them. Their 0-level characters come to fight and steal your stuff. Do you fortify your home based on this invasion? Did you find anything interesting during the chase that needs to be further explored? And then if it fails, does the Ttrpg party attempt to stay, or do they leave and find a new home? What are the consequences of this choice? Maybe here, what type of facilities and locations will they run across during their travels? So some cool questions to bring up if you want to continue on playing these characters. It's got, the war leader gets an artifact, and here's a couple of them here telling you what they get, because obviously they're the biggest, baddest bunnies on the block, and so they're going to get some of the artifacts that they may have found. And here's a plasma sword, sonic spanner, and a goop gun. And then here are all the NPC sentient invaders that are coming into your colony. and it'll tell you the different numbers, like number 1 and number 2 is the first ones you're going to attack, and then maybe 3, 4, and 5, or 3 and 4, then you'll fight 5 and 6, and they're all different here. You can give them names should you want to play these characters afterwards. And then this is the group here that's going to be in the final encounter at the river. So very good. I do have one issue with it, is the map is a little bit difficult to make out. This is of an overview of the area, and so you've got a player map and a judge GM map. So it's going to give them just a couple things of what they know. It's a little vague in how it looks, and I wish there was an actual map of inside the Ttrpg's home with the different passages and stuff. But this is going to take you here and show you the different paths that you'll take until you reach the river. So that is kind of helpful here. I would just like to have seen a little bit clearer map and a map of inside their hillside home, which used to be the Marshall University. And then here is a Badass Bunnies character sheet. Should you want to continue on with your character, you've got one there. So overall, a little bit of some cool art there that we've seen before, some more cool advertisements, and that's Badass Bunnies, the zine. So overall, it's fun, an easy read, gives you some choices to make a completely different type of campaign. I, of course, love the whole turning it on its head, and the 0-level characters are sentients are coming in, and pure strain humans are coming in and stealing your stuff and attacking your place. So it's that kind of switcheroo that is always fun to do. Chase them down, get your stuff back, and maybe you can continue on. Either if you succeed or fail, you can still use these characters that you've made, or use the NPC sentients, the invaders, as your new characters. I think it's a cool way to start off Mutant Crawl Classics, a new campaign. Maybe if you haven't been if you have already played Mutant Crawl Classics, it's probably a good place. I'm not sure if it's the very first thing I would do with it, but if you've played a couple times and you want to kind of change it on its head, this would be a cool way to start it off, saying, hey, let's play Ttrpgs that are different. You're going to be at your table with a bunch of your friends, or a convention, because it does talk about how you can run it with a convention a little bit. You're going to be making a lot of rabbit jokes, bunny jokes, different names of your characters are probably going to be funny. You can have a lot of fun, weird things with rabbits, maybe them twitching, their nose, their ears, whatever you want to do. So it's going to be a neat way to kind of role play these characters and have a lot of fun. Like I said, it doesn't take itself very seriously, but that's fine. That's Mutant Crawl Classic. So I like it a lot. I think it's really good. If you are interested in it, pick it up, see what you think. Let me know if you do pick it up. So thank you very much for watching this video. We got a lot more subscribers still. Please continue watching and look forward to new videos. They're going to be coming out hopefully soon. Thanks a lot.